Right, it's early February. It's February already. Something that I said I was going to do more of this year, and I also said last year I was going to do this and I didn't, and I'm going to try and do better this year, is end of month financial audits to show you kind of where I'm going financially. Um, so all I'm going to do a simple what got spent, what came in, and then that'll be it. I am doing one or two more in-depth looks at certain things, so you will probably have recently seen the one I did about how I keep my electricity bill so low, and I might do another bit about that in terms of what is spent versus standing charges and things like that, so I'll have a look at that. So these are my ins and outs for January. January, I know a lot of people are affected by the fact that people generally get paid before Christmas. That makes January a very long month to get through financially. That doesn't work for me. I get paid, there are some jobs that pay me on a weekly basis, some that pay me as and when, and so the money is, for me, is constantly drip feeding in. So I'm going to start with the outgoings and then I will move on to the income. So my standard utilities and regular bills came to £876.84, and I will list what those are and how much they are there. I spent too much on petrol this month. I filled up the car twice in January and that came to £66.15. One was because obviously I was driving back from Christmas and New Year on the 5th of January, so I had to fill up the car just before then, and then it got really low the other week, and that's because I was doing the trials for that medical study, and mileage wise that just pushed me over the edge to get me through to February without having to fill up the car. I was on that last bar on the petrol gauge, and I didn't know how long that was going to last me. So I've had to pay more, but that means that probably now I won't have to put any petrol in until March, probably now. Everything else, I have an everything else category which pays for things that don't come in under any of the other categories, and that was £77.80. That was because at the beginning of January, before I came home, I had a dental appointment, which I have my dentist down at my parents'. That came to £72. That was a hygienist appointment. I have a private dentist because that's what it's like now, and there were a couple of tiny little extras, so I had to post something at the post office, and post office prices are a joke, and there are a couple of the tiny little bits, so that's why that came to £77.80. Food was really high in January. I spent £43 on food, and the reason that was higher than normal, one reason is that because my Nectar card hasn't been working, there was a point where I went to Sainsbury's thinking I would be able to buy my shopping on Nectar points, and there were things that I really needed, and so when I got there and realised that it wasn't working, some things I put back and other things I just bought, so I ended up paying full price for them, which is really, really irritating. So that is why that is higher than normal. And the yellow sticker prices in Morrison's are going up. There are less and less offers. I'm seeing less and less at the moment of things that I really need, like fresh veg, things like that. So I'm having to play the long game at the moment. What else? Fees for PayPal and coffee for donations. Those came to £2.45 for January. And there were some business expenses which came to £8.77. And that was to do with those candle jars that I'm now trying to do. On top of that, I pay out £192 into a SIP pension and £25 into a stocks and shares ISA. These are both part of my retirement plan, but those don't come out of my income. I take those out of savings. I keep my savings in various pots, and one of them is an easy access account, and I draw out that money from the easy access and put it into those long-term savings, so it's earning interest twice basically. So my total, not including the pension and ISA, comes to £1,075 and 1 pence out. That's the total. If I include the pension and the ISA, that would be £1,292 and a penny. But I don't count those investments because they're coming out of savings, not my actual income. In terms of income, quite a few different things this month. It's all small amounts, but small amounts add up to big amounts, so that works really well. So donations via Ko-fi in January came to £53.30, which is really good, and thank you so much to those of you who support me through Ko-fi or Coffee or wherever it's pronounced, and directly through PayPal. It's incredibly helpful. Just makes such a massive difference. I earned some interest on some of my savings. Some of them are locked away, so I don't see the interest yet. Some of them I can see the interest. It goes into the accounts per month, and I count those. I had a couple of small fixed rate accounts mature in January. So in interest, I made £142.17. The cleaning work this month, January, paid me £521.94. YouTube paid me £144.59. Now, YouTube pays on the 24th of the month, but it's for the previous month. So that really is December's income coming to fruition in January. Surveys across various survey sites. These are the survey sites that I earned on this in January. I made £120.48. Not all of that is cash. Some of that is Nectar points. I have 2 survey sites where I earn Nectar points, and because I can't spend my Nectar points at the moment, I'm racking up a nice safety net of food money there. I sold £23.70 worth of stuff on Vinted. Some of it was personal stuff, some of it is business related, some of it is stuff that other people have given me to sell that I class as business income. And on eBay I made £15.25. I actually made double that. I'm selling some tools and things and bits and pieces, vintage stuff for my dad, and we split it down the middle because although he's supplying the goods, I'm doing the work. And then my parents gave me a cheque for £200 when I came back in January, just for safety measures, I guess. They do that whenever I go down. So my total income, if you put all those things together, comes to £1,221.43. As I say, because some of that income isn't actual cash, I've managed to put into savings in January £21. So I have increased my overall wealth by £21 in January, which is better than a poke in the eyes, my mum would say. So I shouldn't really complain about that. Once again, and as usual, I am not in debt. I came out with more money than I started with. And of course, as I have said in a previous post about my income, etc., literally every penny that isn't needed in a current account to pay for a bill goes straight into a savings account. So all my money is working. It's always earning something. Savings accounts at the moment aren't that great. My easy access savings are paying 4.50. The locked accounts and things are paying anything up to 8%, which is pretty good. As I say, a couple of those have now closed, and I've let that money go back into my easy access, which is 4.50. So, you know, that interest will then increase on that account. And I have other accounts closing on and off throughout the next 4 or 5 months. And then I just need to find ways to reinvest it into higher interest accounts. I will probably look for the odd locked account. I need to make sure that I'm not going to end up with less money in the bank than I started. Just got to be cautious and look at and see how things work. So that's what January's money looks like. In terms of regulating my spending, I have a new 0% interest credit card, and I will put all my day-to-day spending, so like food, petrol, anything else that requires me to make a payment will go onto that card, and that card won't need paying off until December. The other card that I have now needs paying off in May. That is also 0% interest, and I've decided to start using the brand new card because the other card will need paying off in May, and I'd rather keep as much money as possible going into that 0% that I'd have to pay off until September, because that means I get to keep all the money in my savings account earning, and then at the end of the year I'll just pay it off and I'll get another card. So I'm constantly rolling from one 0% interest credit card to another to enable me to maximize the interest that I'm gaining from keeping a hold on as much money as I can. I hope that that makes some sense. That's kind of how my money works on a usual month-to-month basis. I have other money expected in February. I don't think I have much in the way of outgoings that are different for February. There are no surprises coming as far as I know. So that's that. Can't think of anything else really. It's January, isn't it? It's like you just kind of, everyone's hunkering down. I noticed that as we got to the last week of January, an uptick in analytics and stats on my Shopify and my Etsy store, where people were starting to window shop a bit more as they got closer to payday. And I had a little flurry of sales, as I said, with Vinted. A couple of bundles were bought, which is great. It's clearing space. I need stuff gone. And I've added a couple more extra things in the last week or so. So I have a lot of stuff on there, and it's just getting rid of it. People are being quite cautious though. I've had a lot of people making me offers on stuff. Some of it's a bit of a Mickey take really, and I've turned down, I think, almost every offer that's been made against something this month. There was one thing that I allowed through because it was like, yeah, whatever. But most of it I'm hanging on to because they're just taking the mickey now. If you want something, save up for it and buy it. Anyway, so that is my January financial roundup, my little audit for January. I was going to say, I promise I will keep doing this every month. I will try to. I think one of the problems last year is that I was doing so many posts. I was posting every other day, and I just reached this massive burnout, and I'm trying not to do that this year. I am trying to do a post every 3 days and post better, try and be more concise in my week in the life videos. Anyway, so that's where I am at the moment, and it's cold today. Look, I've got my special hoodie. I have ears. Do you like it? I've had this for donkey's years. Ears for donkey's years. It looks so funny, and I love it, and I don't care, and it's fleecy lined. Anyway, so that's the end of January, and this is currently how I feel. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.